From the sidelines to your ears, it's the BenchWarmers Podcast, where sports meets humor. I'm your host, Zach, and I'm joined by my co-host, Jordan. Jordan, how's it going today?
It's going dandy, just like you said. Dandy. How are you?
Oh, I'm great.
Absolutely, man.
Uh,
Absolutely. We got a
Worked a
jam
whole 8
packed.
hours today, and we got a jam-packed show. So
Absolutely.
we're going to go over the NBA a little bit. Some things going on in the playoffs that kind of shocked us a little bit. It's not going to be anything crazy. And then we're going to get into UFC 315, which I believe is tomorrow.
Yep.
Or whenever this episode comes out, I would assume it's going to be Saturday, so I'll say today. And then we'll get right into the NFL because we promised you guys the last two episodes that we're going to get into more. We're going to talk about a little bit of more of draft grades or whatever, and then we'll get into some news because there's been some trades and some releases and everything else going on. So we're going to get right into that as soon as we can, and that'll probably be the majority of our show. How's that sound?
That sounds great, dude. Sounds great.
All right. All right. Well, let's get right into it. The NBA playoffs the semifinals are in full swing. And there's some kind of surprising things that have been happening. Let's talk about first your Boston Celtics. You have them chosen to go all the way.
Yep.
And currently they are down 2-0. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, honestly, dude, like we said before the show, I think they looked exhausted. These guys just didn't play well at all. The thing that concerns me is the ability to close games. It doesn't matter what sport we're talking about here, but in this case, it's do or die for the Boston Celtics. You want to go back and be back-to-back champions, just like any organization would want to do. With that being said, dude, the ability to close games is crucial. Very, very crucial, especially when you have the talent such as the Boston Celtics, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. I don't understand how we can let up not one but two leads in the fourth quarter that have cost us the game in this series.
Yeah, and they were ahead at 20 plus, weren't they? At that point?
I believe one of them, game one, I know for a fact that we were up 20 points.
Yeah.
And we lost that.
I knew there was one game. I couldn't remember which one it was.
Yeah, I'm not sure about game two. But yeah, that's just bonkers to me. It's not the same Celtics that we've seen throughout the beginning of this playoffs. So I'm kind of wondering, is it too much for them? Are they getting a little bit tired, worn out? Because that's how it looks to the viewer as of right now. What do you think?
I think just like you are, they look gassed in the second half. I don't know. Maybe they need to start splitting up their minutes with their starters and their second string guys or whatever they need to do to make it so that their stars ain't tired. And I mean, I know it's a long season for the NBA, and when you get into the playoffs, you almost have to kick it into another gear because of all the games that you've played throughout the season. But to your point, like you just don't give up leads like that in the second half, and especially game one where it was 20 points, I believe, game one. It might even have been game two. I don't really remember, but in game two, they had no reason losing that game either. It was 91-90. That's what they lost to. And game one, I think it was what 108 to 105. So they're close games, but nah, it's just the team that they have, like you said, they shouldn't be losing. And I'm not taking anything away from the Knicks. The Knicks are a phenomenal basketball team.
I was just gonna say that
Um,
those guys are about right there.
oh
I know
yeah,
we talked about that in the last episode as well. The struggle that the Celtics should face, and I think that it's starting to really show
yep,
just how good the Knicks really are here. The ability, I know that we talked about the Celtics not being able to close these games. So let's talk about the fact that the Knicks can close these games. And the now last episode I did say that this is do or die for the coach for the Knicks because of the same scenario. I feel like this is the final nail in the coffin for him.
yep.
If he wins, okay, yep, you might be able to keep your job for another year. If you lose after the scenario that just played out, being up 2-0, being able to close these two games out after the Celtics have had a lead, 20-point lead in one. I believe that it was the second one too. I'm not quite sure, but nonetheless, it's a lead, and the Knicks came through and they won. So if they don't win this series, it's over. It's over for that head coach.
Oh,
And
definitely.
I don't know who you would throw in to replace. I really don't. I mean,
I don't even know. I don't even know like names of some coaches that would be available. So I'm not even gonna, even throw out a name. But do you think also, we think the Celtics are gassed or, what have you in the second half. Do you think maybe they also kind of took the Knicks a little lightly because of how the
no,
Knicks have
no, no,
been
no.
the last couple of years?
I don't think that at all. The Knicks are a powerhouse team in the East,
They
and
definitely are.
I think that they're the greatest threat to Boston as it sits now. As you know, and it's showing as we're going to get into the rest of the Eastern Conference. Um, I would say out of the East, the two powerhouses are Boston and New York. It has to be. It has to be.
Not Cleveland.
No, no.
Cleveland's ranked number one,
Yeah, yeah, they are.
but you still put the Knicks ahead of Cleveland.
I put the Celtics ahead of Cleveland and the Knicks.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Well,
The
that's a
Celtics
good
are
segue.
well the Celtics they're defending champions right now. Yeah, they're down 2-0,
Right.
but they're defending champions. The Knicks are there every year. Every year. I think Cleveland's coming in for the third time in a row. They do got a lot of talent, not as much talent as the Knicks or the Celtics. They do have the talent. And like you said, that's a great segue because Indiana is cooking them right now.
Mm-hmm.
And
Most definitely. I mean, Cavaliers are down 2-0 in their series as well.
yeah,
So what do you think of that? Like the number one team in the East and the number two team. And I mean, obviously, the semifinals ain't over. Nothing's ever over. I mean, we saw that with the Warriors and the Rockets.
yeah,
The Rockets almost came back and won the series. So obviously, the Cavaliers and the Celtics can turn things around. It's never too late. But it's just kind of funny that you got your number one and number two, and they're the beasts of the East.
mm.
You know, they're part of that three-headed giant. Cavaliers, Celtics, Knicks right now, and they're down 2-0 to the Pacers, and not taking anything away from the Pacers either. They're number four. They're a good basketball team too. But did you see them like knocking the bricks off the Cavaliers like they have been?
I thought it was gonna. I knew it was gonna be close. I knew Cleveland wasn't gonna go in there and just mop the floor with Indianapolis. Indy is a really really good team as well. I expect Indy to go over? No. I honestly expected this to be a tied series right now. I figured that Indy was going to win one and then Cleveland's going to win another one. But the fact that they're up 2-0 right now says a lot about not only Indianapolis, but at the Cavaliers. I mean, we just talked about the Celtics not being able to close out games. I'm wondering the same thing for the Cavs in this moment, because just like the Knicks, they're another team that that is making it multiple appearances inside the playoffs, and they just can't get the job done. I believe last
Right.
year it came down to Boston and Indy, and in the Eastern Conference Finals, and well, obviously Boston taking the championship. I'm wondering if it might be the same thing again. It really all depends on, one, is Boston going to wake up? Two is, if this is Cleveland done? Are they afraid of Halliburton? Where's Jared Allen in this? There's a bunch of questions for
Right.
the Cleveland Cavaliers here. I'm still sticking with my original, and that's Boston heading to the finals. So no, I don't think we made conference finals predictions though. I think we just made finals predictions. I had the Lakers and Celtics going, but no, we don't think we did. So yeah, for this scenario, I'll take yeah, give me Indy and Boston again for the Eastern Conference Finals. I like that finals.
I think that finals too, but I'm going to take the other side. I'll take the Knicks and the Pacers or in Cavaliers.
Knicks and Cavaliers. That's all right. But
Because
yes,
like I said at the beginning of this, anything can change. The Cavaliers can come back and win easily. The Boston Celtics can come back and win easily.
yeah,
So we'll have to see what Game 3 brings. I believe what tonight is Game 3 of the Pacers and the Cavaliers.
yes, it's on at
And
7:30
then
on ESPN.
yeah, and then tomorrow is the Game 3 for the Celtics and the Knicks.
Yeah.
So that's the East. Now let's go into the West for a tiny little bit. So the Warriors and the Timberwolves. I'm pretty sure I said I have the Timberwolves taking the Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say convincingly, but I think it's going to happen now with the injury to Steph Curry. I mean, Game 1, the Warriors beat the Timberwolves by 10 points, 99-88. And then you had the injury. The Warriors looked bad. You get 93-117. They're tied in the series. I think Timberwolves take this convincingly now. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that, because it doesn't matter the championship caliber talent that Golden State has on its roster, aside from Steph Curry. I believe we touched on this the last episode as well. Anthony Edwards is on a different level right now, and if you cannot match that type of energy and that type of play style, he's just you're gonna drown. You're gonna sink. And I really like the Timberwolves in this. I have no idea what the fuck is going on inside the Western Conference, because everybody is tied. It also makes for great entertainment and great basketball, yeah. But I really do. I'll die on that hill of, if you cannot, match that same energy and play style of Anthony Edwards and the rest of the Timberwolves, you're gonna drown. So.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves should move on. They should move on.
They should. Like we said before, anything can change. It's still early. But with that, let's talk about the Nuggets and the Thunder. Two completely opposite games here. The Nuggets took Game 1, 121-119. Was a close game.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get into Game 2. The Thunder, they beat them 149-106. I mean, that's a big deficit.
Yeah.
That's a huge number, especially 149 points. You don't really see that that much anymore. So what do you think of this series, the Nuggets and the Thunder? What are your predictions on that one?
I like Denver in this. The only thing that concerns me is the coaching for the Denver Nuggets, because they did. I know that we touched on this a while back, but the Nuggets did pick up they did get rid of their head coach, and they picked up another one, David Adelman, and I don't know, other than um, what they have had in the past. I don't know if this guy can actually go. I mean, I really want to say that the Denver Nuggets will go on, but the lack of experience in the playoffs, within your coaching staff says a lot. Now we all are talking about Nikola Jokic here, and the Joker will carry this team like no other. Um, it just happens to be what those Russian guys in every sport do.
Yep.
Luka, he from Serbia. Look what he's done. Habib Nurmagomedov in the UFC. Look what he's done. The Joker. Look what he's done. He's a champion in his own right. Um, so, other than that, Jamal Murray's another good one. Aaron Gordon, he just made a game-winning play not too long ago at the buzzer beater with a dunk. That was phenomenal. That's clutch, and that's something that unlike the Boston Celtics, these guys have closed games like this in postseason before, and I really like that. Now, on the other side, you do have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and
Yep.
he's been playing not just this season, but past seasons as well. Been off the charts, and it's hard to stop something like that. But like I said, on the other side, you're facing somebody like the Joker, who's no stranger to 60-point games,
No.
or any of these high-scoring games, triple doubles, double doubles, doesn't matter. This guy does it all as a center, and that's just bonkers to me. I really like the Nuggets in this, and I think that they move on.
I think they do too. If they can get over the hump with their coaching situation, um, and I agree with everything you said. You have to take the Joker into account
Mm-hmm.
in every game, regardless you know, regardless if they're down or up or whatever, what have you. The Joker's always going to be around. Um, so for the Western Conference Finals, give me the Timberwolves and the Nuggets.
Yeah,
Honestly,
yeah, I like that as well. Definitely.
and if not the Nuggets, it's definitely going to be the Timberwolves. I'll die on that hill right now. You know, with the injury to Steph Curry, I just don't think the Warriors have what it takes to get over them. Um,
I just don't think that they have enough talent. They have Jimmy
no,
Butler, and Jimmy Butler is an all-star, and he's a phenomenal player. But they lack what they once had. I mean, the Draymond's still there. I believe Grant Williams is still no, he's not. Who's the center for the Warriors?
tell
I'm
you
looking
here
it
in a
up.
second. I might be able to tell you here in a second.
Draymond's playing both. He's playing center and he's playing power forward. They
Oh,
do
is he?
have, yeah, they do. Well, they got him listed as a Draymond as a power forward. Quentin Post. He's
Mm.
25 years old, 7 foot tall, 230 pounds from Boston College. Um, and Gary Payton. They have a nice shooting guard as well. Um, these guys will put up a fight though. Steve Kerr is a phenomenal coach, and it shows. Look at his track record. That's one job that we can definitely say ain't going nowhere anytime soon. But I mean,
No.
then again, like this season for the NBA has been so off the wall from the trade. Anthony Davis leaving Los Angeles, to Luka coming to Los Angeles. Uh, Denver taking a new head coach and Barry and Michael Malone, dude. It's been a bonkers season, so it wouldn't surprise me if the Warriors somehow made it over this. I just don't. Like I said, Anthony Edwards is just playing phenomenal basketball at this point, and with that injury to Steph Curry, I don't think Jimmy Butler can do it by himself.
No, I completely agree with you. Um, but I think that's going to do it for the NBA.
Yeah.
We'll get more into it on Tuesday after Game 3, and we'll see how everything shakes up. Um, Now we're getting into your area of expertise. UFC 315. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this, guys. We're just going to go over it, and it is tomorrow, May 10th at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on ESPN Plus. So with that, why don't you take it away?
All right, so headline this card is the two-title main event. The first co-main event is Valentina Shevchenko, and she defends her belt. But the main fight here that I'm really interested in is Bilal Muhammad. Um, Bilal has been like getting shitted on, dude, for a while now. I mean, and it's no one's fault but his own because this dude doesn't really um, go out there and he doesn't really have that big of a brand. When you look at I'm not even talking about the Conor McGregor or the John Jones. There's a level in between that and where Bilal is, and that's where Bilal needs to be. This guy's not getting noticed at weigh-ins. He's not getting noticed, when he's climbing the gate. Security tries to hold him back because they don't know he's the fucking champion. Bilal has had a rough run as the UFC welterweight champion. I don't think that Bilal makes it through this fight. I really don't. And the reason why I say that is while De La Maldonado is the underdog at 154, Bilal, if you look at hold on, let me pull it up real quick because his past fights are pretty crazy as well. But Bilal hasn't put. I don't think it's. I really don't think that it's the amount of work that Bilal has put in because he's beaten a lot of great names, but at 24-3, dude, it's hard to say with these with especially for Bilal, right? Where is it? Right. Okay, so like I said, great names. Leon Edwards was his last one. That's where he won the belt. Leon Rocky Edwards. He's the one who beat Kamaru Usman with that vicious viral head kick. That was unlike anything I've ever seen. Like when you talk about you remember the movie Rocky and how Rocky, the build up to that fight and when he was fighting Drago, all of that stuff. That's what Leon Edwards was to Kamaru Usman at that point. So picture that guy getting beat by Bilal. That was shocking, very shocking. But aside from Leon Edwards, Gilbert Burns is another one. Sean Brady, he beat Wonder Boy. Damian Maia too. He's really good. So as I stated, like Jeff Neal, he lost to Jeff Neal. He lost in a no contest to Leon Edwards once before as well. When he says he fought the best, he has. He's never shied away. As far as my knowledge goes, Bilal's never shied away from any type of contest. He's never, even as the champion, he's been ready to fight and ready to go. The problem here, though, is like I said, I don't think. I want to say that he's not up there as a name, but in this world, like it really doesn't matter, like how it does in the NFL. The bigger name you are, the more money you get, and the more you get. Whereas to this, it's more of a what have you done, what have you earned,
Right.
And Bilal, I don't think, in my opinion, bro, I really just don't think that he's earned enough. He has fought a lot. He has, right? And for the audience, I'm pulling up the picture for you here. I know I have the main poster here, but let me get that in while we're talking about this. There it is. Okay. So even though Zach and I are just going over the main card, here is a look at the entire UFC 315 uh, card. And I mean, it's not a bad card. I wouldn't say. Do you have it in front of you, Zach?
Yeah.
You have the card?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
not a bad card at all. You got Cody Garbrandt that's on the card as well. Um, as I said, Valentina Shevchenko um, versus Mana Furiat, which is nice. Okay, so this is we talked about Bilal and Jack Della Maddalena. Say that 10 times fucking fast, dude. So we talked about the main event for the welterweight championship. Let's move on to what I think is going to steal the show: Valentina Shevchenko versus Manon Fiorot. And these guys, like these guys are high on Fiorot as of right now. But I think that this is Valentina's toughest challenge yet. Valentina, known globally, I would say a household name as far as like women's UFC goes, other than Ronda Rousey and Holly Holmes. Valentina the Bullet Shevchenko is that fucking woman. But at this age, I kind of want Furiat to win here. Furiat's 12-1, not bad. Um, Valentina's 24-4-1. Again, Valentina doesn't need she could retire today, dude, and be in the Hall of Fame tomorrow. You know, so
Right.
if she loses, it's gonna be okay for her. Even if Furiat loses too, it's gonna be all right with her. It's no problem losing to Valentina Shevchenko. The woman has had 24 fucking victories and only lost 4 times in one draw. I really like Furiat in this, but it's going to be tough. And I stand by my statement. This is being Valentina's one of her toughest challenge today. Today, we can go into Mana Nunes and the rest of the Hall of Famers at a later date. But as far as this roster goes right now, I think Furiat is the toughest challenge for the women's flyweight champion. And then you have the legend himself, Jose Aldo. And this, for some reason, I don't know. I don't dislike Jose, but I'm also a Conor McGregor fan. And so I can never let it down of like how he let Conor get in his head like that. I mean, I don't think he's honestly been that same vicious fighter since. He's 32-9. Emian Zabit is 12-2. But give me Jose in this. I still stand by what I originally said, though. Jose hasn't been the same since that McGregor fight. I mean, dude, do you remember that fight?
I remember some of it.
So do you remember the lead up to that, where McGregor was literally like outside of his locker room?
McGregor was just talking shit like he usually does.
Outside, like more like this is peak McGregor talking shit. This is in between. This is the fight before Floyd Mayweather and before Habib. McGregor was outside the locker room, pounding on the fucking window, looking at Jose, just playing these mind games, totally on talk shows and bullying the shit out of Jose. Come fight night, Jose gets slept within seconds of the first round. After that, he hasn't been the same. And frankly, if I'm being honest here, I don't think the UFC in today has booked him right at all. I mean, the last fight I believe he was in was against a grappler. Jose is a striker. I just feel like this is one of those guys because Dana White is always talking about, well, if you're if he's a certain age, he's gone. I mean, Tony Ferguson is off the roster. Cowboy's off the roster. Donald Cerrone. The list goes on and on of all these, mainstay fighters. But somehow, some way, Jose Aldo is still here, and I really would like to see him retire because, dude, he's a striker, and you know this is just as well as I do. Your brains will become fucking scrambled eggs after a while. And he's a beloved fighter. I believe he is the inaugural UFC featherweight champion. Of course, he lost the belt to McGregor, and goes on to do other things. But I really like Jose in this fight. I think he becomes 33-9, but after I think he's done. I think he retires off of this, or if he loses, the same thing. Next, you have the former women's flyweight champion Alexa Grasso versus Natalia Silva. There's not really anything to break down here. I like Alexa. She's a former champion, 16-4-1. Natalia's 18-5-1. But give me Alexa here, based on like I said, being a former champion. Benoit Saint Denis, he's 13-3 versus Kyle Prepelic. Give me Benoit here. I don't know. Do you know anything about Benoit Saint Denis? No,
I don't.
Dude, the guy's a fucking special ops guy. I think it's for the French military.
I would assume. I think it is French.
I think
he's out of France.
Yeah,
so.
special ops. Guy, he was tossed at Dustin the Diamond Poirier a while back, and that didn't turn out well for Benoit. Dustin won, but I like Benoit in this. This guy is just a marksman, dude. So yeah, give me Benoit Saint Denis in this. The Gilbert Burns and Michael Morales fight was canceled. And that is the main card. Yeah. And by the way, the main card like Zach said, starts at 10. The entire event starts at 5. That's early prelims. It goes early prelims, and then the main card, which is, like Zach said, live on ESPN Plus. And as you could see in between, I'm pointing the wrong way. As you could see right in the middle of me and Zach, there's the whole thing here from early prelims. It tells you right there the time, and then the prelims, and then the main card. All in all, I think this pay-per-view is not gonna, other than Valentina Shevchenko, and Bilal headline this thing. I don't think that this is gonna be a big one.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's a very star-studded event.
No, it's really not.
They probably won't get as many views on this one. I bet.
Honestly, no. They probably won't. But
and if I was more into the UFC, which I'll watch them. I'll watch them when they're on, or if I get a chance. But
you were here. You were here when Sean O'Malley won the belt, right?
Yeah. Yep. But I'd be more excited for the Valentina fight and lately, if I do watch UFC, I do watch a lot of the women's, mostly because they're more exciting sometimes.
Yes.
They really get into it.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of fighting I like to see. I'm not a big wrestler. Like, I watch, obviously, WWE and stuff, but that's not real wrestling. But I don't really like watching the wrestlers and the submission specialists. I like fucking strikers. I like ground and pound. That's the way I like it. And a lot of these women, they're not like technicians.
Right.
There's a lot of strikers. There's a lot of kickboxers. I think that makes it exciting.
I think so too.
In my eyes, anyway. I like to see fucking old school knockouts, like when Brock Lesnar and Frank Mir went at it.
Yeah.
And those are the kind of fights I like. And I think when you started getting more wrestlers and more submission specialists and more technicians and stuff like that, is when I kind of got out of it a little bit.
See, and where they went wrong in this is that they, like the media, I don't think has anything to do with the Fertittas or Dana White, but the mainstay around the world of mixed martial arts is and always has been vicious knockouts and elbows and blood.
Yep.
Like there's now with it's like I said when we were talking NBA and the Russians. Since those Dagestanis have come in and made their mark, a lot of these people are starting to turn to like the world of grappling, um, and I'm actually impressed by the turnout of everybody who does follow the world of wrestling and Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and judo and all that kind of stuff. It's interesting. As far as like being in an arena, sitting there from what did I say, 5:30 to midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, and you see a whole card of fucking nothing but grappling, I'd be kind of upset. I would. I'm not gonna lie. But to see now, when I talked about Jose Aldo being matched up with a grappler, I don't like that. I think that that's one sided, and I think that's fucking boring. If you're gonna throw a grappler in there, I want to see a grappler take on another grappler or a guy that has somewhat sort of um, a grappling background, like this Tom Aspinall versus John Jones, and then we can move on because that's something that's been irritating me. I'm a John Jones fan. I love Johnny Bones. I think he is the greatest UFC fighter of all time, and I'll die on that hill. I do want to see him take on Tom Aspinall. I think that John Jones comes out with the W in that. Um, Tom Aspinall is a very good Brazilian Jiu Jitsu artist, and he's also a very heavy striker. I want to see that fight for many reasons, but the main reason is one, I want to see John be tested against somebody such as Tom Aspinall because I love Tom Aspinall. And two, I want to see Tom Aspinall be tested by somebody like John Jones. We haven't really seen much of Tom Aspinall outside of the first round because what he does is he just swamps and smothers his opponents with non-stop shots. I really like that. I really like that. But also, he has the grappling side of things as well. And so does John. John is vicious with striking. He wants to get you in so he can hit you with those fucking elbows and those spinning elbows and those, those kicks to the abdomen. That's how you put out Miocic. It was the spinning back kick to the abdomen, and that was brutal. I really, really would want to see that. But yeah, as far as like the stylistic goes, I think that they should be matched up with somebody who's in their caliber. You can't just throw a striker in there with a complete grappler and expect the fight to sell $1 million at gate.
No, I completely agree with you.
But yeah, dude, that's all I got on the USC.
Alrighty. Well, let's move into the world of football, and that's where we're gonna take the rest of the cast. You want to get into some news?
Yeah, absolutely. Dude, the main thing that I really want to talk about, we'll start it off first with Mr. Shedeur Sanders, dude. First of all, I want your opinion, dude, because I'll give you mine in a second. I'm pretty sure you know where I stand with this guy. What is your thought process on not just Shedeur, but the Browns taking Shedeur? Doesn't matter where he got picked, but they took him nonetheless.
To be honest, the Browns, I don't know. The Browns are just a bad organization, and I don't think they know what they want to do. I mean, look at their QB room. Um, it's a whole mishmash of different players, different styles, and I really don't know where they want to be. Let me see if I can find their depth chart here because I can't remember offhand.
Well, you find that, yeah. So for those of you who've been living under a fucking rock, Shedeur was drafted not number 2 overall like everybody predicted him to be, but in round 5, pick 144, as the graphic is between myself and Zach, to the Cleveland Browns. I had seen a video of Shedeur taking the practice field. Not taking the field, but he was a vlog style, and he was there visiting the facility during rookie mini camps, and I couldn't tell if he was actually humble or if he was just playing the part because of the media scrutiny he's got. Either way, I'm just not too fond of him, to be honest. With all that talent, I mean, think of this, Zach. You have a fucking Heisman Trophy winner as a wideout, and you got Jimmy Hearns as another wideout from that played in Colorado as well. Um, yes, okay. So the main thing that Shedeur is saying is, well, look what I did at Jackson State, and now look what I did at Colorado. I did it with two different offensive coordinators, with two different systems, and all this other stuff. Okay, that's fine. The NFL pros do it all the fucking time. That you're supposed to do that. That's what makes a great quarterback. Is
Right.
you adapt to play styles, you adapt to versatility, and all this other stuff. Nobody, nobody really cares about that kind of stuff. That's built into the position. That's built into your job. That's what you're supposed to do. You know, I don't
Yeah,
understand
no,
where
I
he's
get you.
going with that.
I I don't think he knows where he's going with that. I think, and I think in his mind, he could say whatever he wants, but if things don't turn around in Cleveland, Shador's NFL career is all but set in stone. And if he doesn't end up being like a Baker Mayfield, and turning his career around after leaving Cleveland, because I can't imagine that Shador will stay in Cleveland after these 4 years. Um, he's going to be a journeyman, or he's just going to be a nobody. And it's very well possible, especially with being in Cleveland, and everybody knows, you know, everybody knows Cleveland is a bad football team. They they can't draft right. The only right draft pick I think they've ever had was Myles Garrett,
Yep.
and I will put
I'll throw Baker
my
into
my
that.
Baker. Yeah, that's what I'm. Yeah, I would put Baker in that too. Um, I just don't think the Browns know what they want to do. They haven't known for the last decade, or more.
The last time they were in the
But,
playoffs was what, 2002, right?
something like that. It was
No,
shortly.
no, 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 it wasn't because Baker took him.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah,
I'm
but
sorry
that
about.
was the
I
last
forgot all
time.
about. Yeah, that was the last time that they were in there, and then
But
they released him.
yep, then they release them, and it doesn't make any sense.
No.
But you look at I found their QB room. All right, so you got Deshaun Watson,
Dylan
which is
Gabriel.
who he is. You got Joe Flacco, and then you got Kenny Pickett, and then they go and draft two quarterbacks, Dylan Gabriel at number 94, and then Shedeur in the fifth at number 144.
Yeah.
They have five completely different QBs, different play styles. So the Browns don't know what they want to do.
No, they
So
don't, dude. They never do either.
who starts? Does Joe Flacco get the axe? And does Shedeur even have a chance of starting?
I think. Well, listen. Okay, so Shador. I want to be very clear here. Like Dion has carried this guy all the way here, all the way here. If you look at look at Shiloh. Look at Shedeur Sanders. Shiloh is a fucking great safety, and he has a lot of potential down there in Tampa Bay. I think that he should have been drafted in the 7th round. In a lot of mock drafts, he was drafted in the 6th and 7th round. Some even had him drafted in the 5th. So let's just start there, and that's a given. Any father, any good father, should do that for their son. That's not what the problem is. The problem is Shedeur didn't show up for the combine, right? He didn't meet with certain teams because he took that out of his dad's playbook of, I won't be on the board by the time you pick. And that was really fucked up. Because a lot of these franchises who need a quarterback are picking at the top or in the middle. Those last 8 spots are for playoff teams who already have their guy.
Yep.
So why the fuck would you go out and do all that kind of stuff and then sit there and wonder why you're not getting drafted? That makes no fucking sense.
Because nobody wants to put up with the drama.
Exactly. Thank you for bringing that up. Nobody wants to put up with that kind of bullshit. Nobody does.
Except maybe the Cowboys. The Cowboys are like drama players. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But my thing is, though, if you're Cleveland, why do you need this many quarterbacks? And if you were going to draft Shedeur, why not take him in the third instead of taking Dylan Gabriel? So that tells me that Cleveland is higher on Dylan Gabriel than they are Shedeur.
They got Shedeur as a sort of a backup plan.
That almost has to be. I mean, they got 3 other backup plans: Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, and Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. Kenny Pickett is fucking. I don't give a fuck what the internet says about his little Super Bowl ring that he got. He couldn't get it done in Pittsburgh. No, he's out the charts. The only one it's going to be, and I'll tell you because it's just now dawning on me, is Cleveland could be doing the same thing New England did last year. They took Drake May with that first round pick, and then they turn around and got Joe Milton. Joe Milton now plays for your Cowboys. They got capital. So if Cleveland is taking a page out of New England's book and Mike Vrabel, they are on the right track. I would trade Shedeur, though. You're going to get a lot more for Shedeur Sanders than you will for Dylan Gabriel. So
obviously nobody wanted Shedeur, though. So who's going to trade for him?
Nobody wanted Joe Milton either. And what happened? The Cowboys took him.
Cowboys only gave up a 5th rounder or 6th rounder or whatever they got.
And Shedeur got picked in the 5th round. So it's not like Cleveland's going to be losing much. And it wouldn't be for whatever team, whether it be Pittsburgh after they fucking can Aaron Rodgers or New Orleans. One of those guys is going to be in the market for something. Derek Carr ain't going to last forever.
I don't think Pittsburgh would want Shedeur. Shedeur didn't even show up to their interview. I'm pretty sure they had an interview. Oh, no, they had an interview and they didn't like him.
Was that it, or was that New Orleans?
No, I'm pretty sure he had an interview with Pittsburgh and they didn't like him.
Oh yeah, no, it was that. I'm thinking of something different. It all depends. I mean, if this guy can go and he shows that he can go, I don't see why anybody wouldn't even think about it. At least we're in the market for Super Bowl championships, not broken hearts.
Well, that gets me back to my original question: does Shedeur start?
No. He can't start. Joe Flacco has taken the Browns close to the playoffs, the Colts close to the playoffs. Joe Flacco is that motherfucker as of this point. And
you think Joe Flacco starts over Watson, Pickett?
You got to get Deshaun Watson out your head. He's going to be leaving Cleveland here in a minute. That guy is done. He's toast.
Well, they're gonna have to take a bath in that that big contract they signed him to, because I don't think anybody's gonna trade and take that contract.
No, they're gonna have to wear that out. And until then, I mean, you hit the nail right on the head in the beginning when we segue into this. Cleveland, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know if they want to win Super Bowls or if they want to pick number 1 every year. That's where they need to figure out. I mean, what they need to figure out is what are we doing here? Like I said, there's an option. I just gave them an option. You show off what Dylan got or what Shedeur got, and you trade one of them. You can't do that with Joe Flacco. You can't. I mean, and you're like
you could, but you're not going to get much from him.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You're not going to get anything from him. And what team's going to want him unless you're – I mean, Minnesota seems pretty high in J.J. McCarthy. New Orleans don't know what they're going to do at quarterback.
New Orleans, they took a quarterback, didn't they? In the draft? I thought they did.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I think they did.
Let me see here. I can get right onto the PFF. They took, Tyler Show. Tyler Shoho? I don't know how to say that name.
And they got
Louisville.
Spencer Rattler from last year's draft as well. So I think
Right.
that they'll be okay. The media seems to be
I,
very high on thinking that New Orleans has an issue at quarterback. I just don't think. I mean, I have the roster right here. I just don't. I mean, Spencer Rattler was the talk of the town in last year's draft. I don't see, and they just got one in this one too. So I don't. Again, they like these teams with these quarterbacks though. Anything could change. Spencer Rattler sat behind Derek Carr, just like Michael Penix Jr. sat behind Kirk Cousins, and then later on in the season started. So I mean, anything could happen. But as far as Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel go, one of them is going to be leaving Cleveland, and I really hope that is Shedeur, because if you look at Oregon's, aside from Marcus Mariota, look at if you look at the players that Oregon has produced, they've been pretty well. So Dylan Gabriel, and not to mention, if you look at the PFF grades on last season, the 2024 season for the Colorado Buffaloes, they struggled a lot. Yes, they had offensive line problems. And that's no excuse, especially if you're Shedeur Sanders, who's out here claiming to be the greatest thing since fucking sliced bread. That should be no problem for you to not only get the starting job, but to make that team great again. There should be no question about it. Do I think that's gonna happen? Hell no, dude. that's definitely not gonna happen. Not gonna happen at all. And then so the reason I have this graphic up, I don't know if you could see it, but I have this graphic up here, and it's from the video that I was talking about earlier of Shedeur walking into the facility, checking out his jersey number. And one of those things that got me was when he was setting his bag down and he said, "Oh, well, what do we got in here?" He pulled out a Cleveland Browns offensive notebook and then proceeded to say, "Oh, well, I have all the tools to succeed right here." Do you think that the pressure and the things that everybody in the media and in the league is saying about him, you think that's starting to settle into his head there?
no.
You think he's still just going to be on an egotistical tyrant? That's Deion Sanders all the way.
Yeah, that's how Deion. That's how Deion was his whole career. But it took Deion to great heights.
It did.
He's a multiple Super Bowl champion.
Yeah.
With different teams.
And arguably the greatest defensive back of all time.
Yes.
But I just don't think Shedeur is that guy.
No, Shedeur's not that guy. I would like to see Cleveland give him a chance, and you're probably right. Flacco is probably going to be the guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't be surprised if Cleveland puts that Dylan Gabriel or Sanders in to start. Maybe Flacco, just is not the guy in the first couple games. Then why not throw your rookie quarterbacks in there, see what they can do?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't see any issue with. I mean, it's not like Cleveland has a shot at making the playoffs anyways. They have all the time in the world to figure this thing out. The problem is
no, they got 4 years. They got 4 years.
Well, yeah. Well,
because
4
Myles
years
Garrett will be gone.
Yeah, 4 years for Myles Garrett to be gone and then retire or go to where all defensive ends go to die in Buffalo. I mean, I just came up with that, the dome. I know what we call Baltimore, because that's what it is for Baltimore. And look what happened to Von Miller. Goes there, gets what,
Yep.
1.5 sacks? And it's not even Buffalo's fault. Well, I mean, I guess it is. They have an issue with that. Joey Bosa's coming off of an injury, and what do? They sign him. Great.
Yep, they go and sign him.
But for Cleveland, they should probably get this thing fixed ASAP, because they don't. I mean, do you want to win now, or do you want to sit here and keep drafting? I mean,
they want to sit there and play tiddlywinks and tummy sticks.
Yeah.
That's what they want to do.
Oh, yeah, because, if they were very serious, they would have never got rid of Baker. And we wouldn't even be talking about Shedeur going to the Browns, because Baker Mayfield would still be there.
Yes, Baker Mayfield would still be, balling in
Absolutely.
Cleveland like he was. No, they weren't winning a ton, or they were winning a ton. They weren't making the playoffs a lot, but
They were
it
making
made
the
Cleveland
playoffs.
football. Yeah, it made Cleveland football exciting again,
Exactly.
and it hasn't been in a while.
Exactly. And that's all they have at this point. I
Right.
mean, is the Cavaliers, because the Browns keep failing them. Kevin Stefanski keeps failing them. And
Yeah.
I forget that GM's name. He looks
I don't
like,
know. They go through so many of them. I can't
well,
remember.
he's been there for a couple of years now. No, I want to say over 5 years. He's been over there in Cleveland for 5 years.
That's got to be a fucking record because it seemed like every other year they were firing their GMs and their head coaches. It
Yeah,
was like a revolving fucking door.
yeah. Okay, so Shedeur Sanders, best of luck to him. Kevin Stefanski, if this dude, I don't know, man. The Browns, in my opinion, are just like the Jets. You
The
go and
Jets got a better team though.
yeah, the Jets had the Jets were also predicted to go to the Super Bowl and did what?
Well, that was all Aaron Rodgers. We talked
Yeah,
about Aaron Rodgers. We know where I stand on Aaron
I was
Rodgers.
gonna
That guy
say,
can
don't
get fucked.
you can't blame Aaron Rodgers he was there for 2 years. The first season, Zach Wilson stepped in. No, that's not his name no more. Zach, what
He
is his
can be
name?
there for grandma fucker
He
or
was
milf
there.
fucker or cougar
Yeah,
fucker. That's
Cougar
what it was.
fucker. The dude
Cougar
was there,
fucker.
and they actually did well. They didn't do too bad with him there. Aaron Rodgers comes in, does subpar for some reason, wakes up at the ass end of the season, and does wonders. And then in the offseason, they go and they start to pick apart their offensive line. Aaron Rodgers was destined to leave. I don't care what anybody says. Aaron Rodgers was not going to stay in the Jets with Ben Johnson there. Even if Ben Johnson wanted him there, I don't think he would have signed there. I honestly, just like I said in the last episode, I think Aaron Rodgers is done, and he's just, confirming, waiting to confirm, yeah, even more. He can go on all kinds of podcasts that he wants and says that kind of stuff, dude. If you want to play football like you say you do, you would have already had a deal done.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
I don't want to get into Aaron Rodgers again. It gets me fucking steamed talking
yeah.
about him.
So next on the
But
list we have George Pickens going to your Cowboys, dude. Why don't you take this one
okay,
away first?
all right. So I like it, and
Yeah.
I'll give you a couple of reasons. George Pickens has fucking hands of God. I mean, he makes spectacular catches. Um, I think the Steelers are dumb to get rid of him. Yes, he has his antics. He has his off the field antics. He has his crybaby persona that he's not getting the ball enough. And that does worry me. But you can't take away the ability that George Pickens has. And he will complement CD Lamb very well. With CD being in the slot primarily, and you got George on the outside, as long as Dak Prescott doesn't fucking throw interceptions like a maniac, I think I'm not going to say that we're playoff bound or anything like that, but I think we're going to have a better shot than what we did last season.
Yeah.
Especially adding that weapon of George Pickens. And like I said before, though, can George Pickens not have that crybaby persona that he had in Pittsburgh? Oh, I'm not getting the ball enough. Throw me the ball. I'm always fucking open. Da 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 da. And the Cowboys have a tendency to go after guys like that. And a lot of times it does pan out. I mean, look at, they went and got Terrell Owens, who was the biggest fucking troublemaker there was back then, and did great. He's one of the greatest Cowboys of all time. So I like it as long as George Pickens can understand the pecking order. CD is number one.
Oh yeah.
CD is your number one wide receiver. George is number two, and he's got to get that in his head.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, what do you think of it?
I don't see. For Pittsburgh, I don't understand. I don't understand their PR team, social media team. Everybody is building around that wide receiving core of DK and George. and Pat and and Will Howard or Aaron Rodgers. What is going on here? Has Mike Tomlin really fucking lost it? What about the Roonies? What about the Roonies? We'll get into what Stephen A. said on ESPN about this trade, but that's my fucking question here. Is what are you guys doing? You expect your quarterback, whoever that may be, to especially Will Howard. Now it's coming off a national championship. Is going to come in to this offense and it's supposed to be successful? How? You just took away another weapon for this kid. That was a rookie's dream right there.
Oh yeah, to have Pickens on one end and DK on the other.
Yeah.
And they have another wide receiver they're pretty high on. They drafted last season. I can't think of his name.
Pittsburgh seems to always draft wideouts, dude.
Oh, Pittsburgh is great at drafting wide receivers.
Yeah.
You can pick out almost any wide receiver they've had, and they've been studs.
Exactly. And then recently, they become the team that picks up these badass wide receivers and then trades them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not counting Chase Claypool either. Antonio Brown, Juju, one of those guys was a cancer to the team. I'll let you guys decide. Who else was there?
Well, they had Ward forever.
No, they didn't trade Hines Ward though.
No.
Yeah,
he was there.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like in the recent times for the Pittsburgh Steelers, they seem to be drafting these really good wide receivers, and then telling them to hit the fucking bricks.
Yep.
So why don't you get into? I know I had the graphic up of the trade between the Dallas Cowboys and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Why don't you get into it and then give your opinion on what Dallas got aside from George Pickens, what they lost. How do you feel about all that?
What'd they give up? They gave
A third rounder.
Yeah, a third and a
Fourth.
sixth. There was a third and a fourth.
Yeah, it's a third and a fourth of the 2026.
No, it wasn't a third and a fourth. It was
Yeah,
a third and a...
It's 2025 third round draft and 2027 fourth round draft pick. And Pittsburgh gave you George Pickens and a 2027 sixth round draft pick.
I don't think I'm that upset about it. I think they might have overpaid just a tiny bit. A third and a fourth.
I would have never gave him the third. I would have gave him a fourth and a fifth.
I think I've been okay if they would have went like a third and a fifth. To be honest, it just.
Well, what do you guys look like next
year? Like I said before, though, the caliber of player that. Oh no, I'm looking at it right now, Jordan. The Cowboys gave up a third round and a fifth rounder. I was right.
Oh, is it? I'm looking at the graphic on here, and it's tiny. So it does. Okay, so it is fifth. That's an I and an R.
Yeah, they gave
2027 though, right?
Yeah, 2026 third round pick and a 2027 fifth round pick.
Okay, yeah.
And then the Cowboys receive a 2027 sixth round pick.
All right, yes. The graphic is right.
I think the Cowboys should have tried to replace that third rounder in 2026. Obviously, the Steelers weren't going to give up a third rounder with giving up George Pickens, but I think I would have been happier with like a pick in 2026.
Well, what do you guys look like in the 2026 draft? Because I know you guys didn't have that many this year, right? You guys made some trades. That Joe Milton trade, you guys gave up a 2025 to us. And I believe that we handed you guys a pick as well for that.
Let's see. Let's see. 2026. We have a first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh. They're all our own.
Okay.
They haven't yet made any moves that'll impact their 2026 selections.
Okay.
So, well, that was in February too. This article, I can't find the updated list for some odd reason. But regardless, we have all our picks in 2026 still. I would assume. I don't think we really lost any of those. But like I said, I think they overpaid just a tiny bit. But George Pickens is a generational wide receiver. So I'm happy with it. And I told you that it as long as Pickens can just keep his nose clean, I think we'll be fine. But I mean, do you think the Cowboys overpaid, or do you think it's just right?
Uh, for what they got, I mean, what is his 2024 stats look like?
Let's see stats. 2024 played 14 games, 59 receptions, 900 receiving yards. He had 15 yards average per catch, 3 touchdowns, and 1 fumble, 1 loss. So I mean, the yardage was there. He's had, in the last 3 seasons, 2023 was his best season. He had 1,140 yards, 5 touchdowns.
Mm.
But in the last 3 seasons, he had 801, 1,140, and 900. So the yardage is there. The receptions are there. The touchdowns need to be up a little bit more, I think.
Yeah. So out of 98 receivers for targets, he's 30th. Receptions, he's 40th. Receiving yards, he's 29th, and touchdowns, he's 58th. He'd be a great number 2. I agree with you on that. But the thing that concerns me is, look, I ain't gonna reiterate what I said about Stephon Diggs because I still feel that way until kickoff comes in September, and I'll say the same thing about George Pickens. If you could keep the off the field antics off the field and not let that hit the media and just focus on fucking football, you'll be okay. Dallas, I don't think Dallas is in
Not
that
to mention,
position.
that Dallas is also getting a receiver that's only 24 years old.
Yeah.
Oh,
absolutely.
He's going to be around a while.
Yeah, and so is CD, right? CD's very
Yeah.
young as well.
Yep.
But so the off the field antics will play a lot of a big role here if he keeps that shit up. And history tells us that it honestly it just doesn't work out that way. They usually keep on with that stuff, if not go harder. I just don't. Is the headache really worth it though? Especially because Dak's coming off of an injury, so we don't know how well he's gonna play. I mean, yeah, they have a backup in Joe Milton, and I believe Cooper Rush is still there, right?
No, Cooper went to the Ravens.
Oh my. So the quarterback issue, I wouldn't really worry about it too much. CD's gonna get a lot of those reps though, and I don't see that going over well with Pickens at all. Like you said though, he has to understand his role here. He really does. And then we have to talk about like the playoffs, right? I don't see them just because they picked up George Pickens to be a favorite. Especially because the NFC, dude, the NFC East alone, you got, the reigning champions, the Eagles, and then you have, they caught lightning in a bottle with Jaden Daniels down there in Washington, and they seem to be getting stronger and stronger every day. That's a hard division. So if you can make it out of that division, at least get that number 1 or number 2 spot in the division, that'll do wonders. The defensive backs in that division are are up there as well. In the NFC, I mean Detroit, Minnesota, and now Chicago, and then Philadelphia, of course, which I know you hate. I don't know, dude. I really don't know. I don't know if this is all going to play out for Dallas because, dude, what if it fails?
If it fails, it fails. Like I said, I don't think the George Pickens trade makes Dallas a shoo-in for the playoffs.
Right.
Not even, but it gets them closer. Because we did need that weapon, and this explains why they didn't draft a wide receiver. Because
so you think that they had this in the back pocket?
Oh, definitely. Jerry Jones said before the draft that they were working on trades.
Okay.
Yeah, and nobody knew what they were. He just said there was things in the works. You know.
Yeah.
You almost take what Jerry Jones says with a grain of salt, though, because you
Right.
never fucking know.
Yeah.
But this explains why they didn't draft a wide receiver.
Right.
And they used their draft capital for, offensive linemen that we needed and other things, which I'm okay with that now. Now that I understand what they did, Jerry Jones was pretty smart about that. I'll give him his credit. But like I said, I don't think this gets us in the talks of playoffs.
Right.
But it gets us closer. It gives us a better chance.
Yeah.
I should say.
Oh yeah, for sure, dude. I mean, you have all of the weapons now. And I'm gonna segue into Stephen A. Smith and his comments about this, and then we'll talk about we'll end this podcast with the 2025 team schedules.
Yep.
Stephen A. made some really good points. Well, you know this, being a Cowboys fan. This guy is probably
he's the biggest Cowboy hater in the world.
Yeah. But he made some good points. I mean,
and I didn't see what he said, but if he's talking shit in the Steelers, it'd just make me so happy because he sucks the fucking Roonies off, and he loves the Steelers. He's a diehard Steeler fan. So I really hope this fucking burned his ass.
No. Okay, so
no, son of a bitch.
What I'm not gonna go into all of it because I don't agree with all of it. He's the first thing he said is that this dude is supposed to be a headache. You got a new coach that nobody wanted. You got Dak Prescott, who's allergic to prosperity come playoff time. Now, that last part, I understand why he said that because Dak Prescott has that about him where it comes playoff time, and for some reason everybody else shows up, he don't. I understand that, but the headache thing, we talked about that. That has to be the main thing here is, like Zach said, CeeDee Lamb. George Pickens is not better than CeeDee Lamb. Not anywhere close to him. CD is on a whole nother fucking level at this point. So that has to get through his head now, yesterday. CD Lamb is number 1. George Pickens is number 2. No questions about it, period. Then he went on to talk about how it does look good on paper. But the thing that caught my eye the most is when he said, and I quote, "They're going to go back to teasing us into believing that they are relevant." So what I took from that was, okay, Jerry Jones has been doing that. He does all of these moves and waves all this fucking money in everybody's faces, but has it been in a fucking championship game, NFC championship game, since the last time I lived in fucking Elk County? You know? That's so there's that. Jerry needs to get two things, dude. Step down or get with the program. Because look what's going around you. Tony Romo and Dak Prescott seem to be the same fucking person because
Yep.
once the postseason come around, these guys will do nothing. In the regular season, you'll win a fucking $1 million for betting on Dak Prescott to have close to 5,000 passing yards every year. There's no question about it. We need to get over the hump here, Jerry. That's what we need to do. Now, will George Pickens do it? I don't know. I don't tell fortunes. But does it get you one step closer? On paper it does. On paper it does. But we don't care about that no more. The Dallas Cowboys organization and their fans deserve more. They deserve better. Stop all these flashy fucking antics. I love Jerry Jones when he was in The Landman. I think he had a great role there. Acting should be his forte when he's done. But for the sake of the Dallas Cowboys organization and their fan base, this can't be it. You can't keep waving these fucking shiny players in everybody's faces and expecting these guys to buy into it every year. I mean, Dallas Cowboy fans are known for this is our year. We're going back. We're going back. We're going to win it. And each year, Jerry Jones and the rest of the organization rips their fucking hearts out, throw it on the fucking floor and stomps on it. Every single year.
Jerry doesn't help it either. He always says,
well, that's
this team's going to win. This team's going to win. This team can win me a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. No, it can't. You need to get rid of Dak. And it's sad to say, Dak is the issue. We need a quarterback that can fucking produce. And I even said it when Tony Romo was there.
Yep.
I am a Cowboys fan. I am not a Tony Romo fan. I say it now. I am a Cowboys fan. I am not a Dak Prescott fan.
Yeah.
Mostly because neither of them could get over the hump. Tony Romo, even without his Super Bowl wins, even if he doesn't have Super Bowl wins, well, he definitely doesn't. I think he will be eventually in the Hall of Fame, mostly because of what he did. He was an undrafted free agent, and he did great things with the Cowboys. Broke records and all that. Like, he deserves his spot in Canton. Can you agree with that?
Absolutely, 100%.
Right. And Dak, I don't think he'll ever get there. Yeah, I think he broke one of Tony's records.
Not first ballot.
He is not Tony Romo.
No.
Tony Romo is a much better quarterback than Dak Prescott.
Absolutely.
And like you said, they're the same person. Almost.
Yeah.
Why? Well, you draft a quarterback, right? We drafted a quarterback this year in the later rounds, I think. If I might be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure we did.
I'm not sure.
Or maybe we didn't. I could be wrong. No, we didn't. But there was talks that they could have.
But
I just don't understand why Jerry just keeps staying with the same guys. Like, he kept Tony past his time. He's going to keep Dak Prescott past his time. Why not trade him? Get the capital for him. Find somebody else.
correct.
There's a revolving door of quarterbacks every year. There's somebody that can get us over the hump.
Yeah.
It has to be. You keep giving us all these pieces, like you said, all these flashy things. You know, a new wide receiver, a new young wide receiver. You know, a great tight end. Now you're drafting great offensive linemen. Our defense is getting better. Where is the rest of the help?
Exactly.
Where is the guy that's supposed to lead us to the promised land?
Exactly.
To the fucking Super Bowl.
Now, you think do you think, as a diehard Cowboys fan, do you think Dak Prescott sticks around for another 2 years, 3 years after the 2025 season?
I hope not. I hope Jerry gets it in his head, oh, this kid can't do it. Let's trade him now while he's still kind of younger. He's the same age as me, so he'll be 32 this year.
Mm-hmm.
He's still a younger quarterback. There's teams that would want him.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't there be teams that would want him? Because he is a good quarterback.
Oh yeah.
And maybe he gets him over the hump. Maybe he in a different system, in a different scheme, a different coach.
Yeah.
Maybe Dak Prescott gets there.
Yeah.
And good
Maybe he
for him.
does. Yeah. Yeah. But I just don't think that he does it in
Whatever
Arlington.
the water is down in Dallas, they haven't had a Super Bowl winning quarterback since the 90s,
Mm-hmm.
since Troy Aikman. I don't understand what's going on. Maybe it's the coaching. Maybe it's Jerry Jones. And I'm thinking I'm more leaning towards it's Jerry Jones because Jerry Jones is a fucking fool sometimes and needs to get his head out of his ass. But I am not one of them Cowboys fans that say it's our year. Not
I can
never.
actually vouch
Have I
for
ever
that.
said that?
I've been friends with Zach for 10 years, over 10 years, and never once has he said. The only time he said that was
I
when
think
they
I
were
said it
this close.
the 2016. I think it was the 2016 season or 20.
Green Bay.
The
That was
catch.
the Green Bay
Yeah, the
game.
catch season.
Yeah, that was
That was
the only
Tony.
time I've ever heard him say that.
That was the year. That was our fucking year.
And by the way, you guys
That
got
truly
robbed.
was our year.
Yeah, that whole you didn't make a football move. Never fucking heard of that. Before then, and I haven't heard of it now.
Right. That year was truly our year.
Yeah.
Every year after that, well, you could say Dak was there on that one, right? That was 2016.
It was Dak Prescott and Dez Bryant.
Yeah, that was Dez's last year,
Yeah.
or close to his last year. So yeah, that was when Tony was sat, and it was Dak and Zeke, and they had their big three. They had it. It was always they were always talking about the big three in the 90s,
Yep.
and they were comparing Dak and Zeke and Dez to Aikman, Emmitt Smith, and Michael Irving, and it was eerily similar.
Yeah. Oh,
That was
for
it.
sure.
That was the last time it was our year, and it hasn't been since.
No, you're absolutely right, dude. And one thing that I want to point out is that I'm not sounding biased here because Joe Milton in Tennessee, there's a reason why they call this guy Bazooka Joe. You know what I'm saying, man? This guy can really fucking spin that ball. If anybody,
I've seen tape.
if anybody can go in there and get it done, I trust Joe Milton III to go in there and do it. He's a dual threat quarterback. Now I did talk about the games. He's only played in a few games. PFF has him graded offense in total 95.8, almost 96%. Passing 94.9%, and even in the run game 72.6. I think that they should shop Dak Prescott around. Zach and I talked about these teams that potentially could be needing a quarterback. New Orleans is one. There was talks in the beginning of free agency about Matt Stafford and where his future lies. So you could also throw the Los Angeles Rams to be in there.
I would throw the Miami Dolphins too, depending on how Tua Tagovailoa, if he gets another concussion, he's done.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. And by the way, dude, while you're on that, when I first heard that he was coming back against medical advice, I wanted to fucking rip the throat out of Roger Goodell, the entire officiating crew in New York City, and Mike McDaniels and the rest of the fucking Miami Dolphins.
I think I'd want to go down to Miami and slap Tua in the face and say, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Right? Yeah.
He's got to. It's got to be him too, though. He's got to be the one that says, "Hey, I can't do it anymore."
Yeah, after 50-50. But at the same time, these guys are competitors. They're born and bred to compete. Nothing else will stop them from competing. That's why there's these coaches and these GMs and all of these the league. They should have stepped in, and I still think that they should pull his ass from there. And then the fact that he got on a podium and was asked a serious question such as, "Hey man, are you gonna wear a garden cap?" And he kind of chuckles and says, "No." What are you fucking thinking? I mean, Zach, I can't remember his name, but he was a boxer from either Puerto Rico. Yeah. He was hit in his head and was badly damaged. Now the guy's in a fucking wheelchair. That
Well,
should be
there's tons
Tua.
of NFL players that are like that
Yeah.
too.
Oh yeah.
You know,
What
from
was
CTE.
yeah, but
And
fuck, what was his
this is
name, dude?
taboo to talk about.
Yeah.
But Chris Benoit,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
typical CTE, and that's what happens. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Tua needs to get it into his head. Hey, my health is not okay. You know, after all these concussions, and I get it. You know, you're a competitor.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're a pro football player. You want to play football. That's what you want to do. That's what you're gonna do. But there comes a time. I mean, and all players have it. Even ones that haven't been beat up, like Tua has been. You know, Tom Brady, he knew when to retire. Tony Romo knew when to retire. Peyton Manning knew when to retire.
Yep.
Like all these guys knew when to retire. Even like say a younger guy, Travis Fredericks.
Mhm.
He was a center for the Cowboys,
Yep.
and he had stuff going on with his brain. He knew he had to retire, even at his young age. I think he was like 26. At the height of his career, he was the best center in football at the time. He said he needs to be done.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he wasn't medically cleared with all that, but still, he understood it. He didn't fight it. He didn't try, to work around it. He knows. He knew.
Yeah.
And this is what Tua needs to do. He needs to take example from these guys that know when to quit, and he needs to know when to quit. And I think the time is now, because if he gets, I mean, it's kind of a segue into our next topic, is the schedules. And I'm looking at Miami's schedule right now, and it's no picnic. They got the Bills, the Patriots, and the Jets. That's obvious. The Bills have a really good defense. The Jets have a really good defense. They got the Ravens. They got the Bengals, and then you got the Chargers. They got the Commanders this year. Pittsburgh, who's always had a stout defense. Their schedule's no picnic, and if I remember correctly, their offensive line isn't that good, and that's why Tua keeps getting hurt.
Oh yeah.
And he's gonna get hurt this season.
Badly.
Mm-hmm.
Badly, dude. That's and I'm glad that you brought that up because I don't think enough. There are people talking about it, but I don't think that it's being talked about enough. This kind of stuff can and will make and break you. And the fact that Mike McDaniels, Roger Goodell, or anybody else inside the league or the organization of the Miami Dolphins haven't stepped in and do this. Don't give me that bullshit of, oh, well, we got him locked in a contract and he wants to do it. Okay, but that's why you're in charge, dude. That's why we have GMs, owners, coaches, head coaches, coordinators.
And his manager should be in his ear too.
Absolutely. I want to know what
his manager's not off scot. Is not off scot free.
No. No, not at all, dude. Not at all. And before
you can't tell me his manager's not in it for the money. If Tua quits, his manager's not making any money.
No, not at all, dude. Not at all. And while we're on the topic to end this, because I want to get on to the next one.
Yeah.
There's multiple things that Tua could still do in the world of football without even playing a down.
Yep.
He's talented. He's got the football IQ. He's been in the league for, 5 years, 6 years now. He's beat.
I think if not a little longer.
Yeah, definitely. I just don't like this kind of stuff. Not for him, for anybody. I felt the same way about DeMar Hamlin. DeMar almost died. Pretty much did die on the football field that game against the Cincinnati Bengals, and thank God that he was able to make it back to us. I just don't like, and I know those two things are day and night. One was, obviously a freak accident. Well, this one is too, but this one is more a player doing it to himself, coaches doing it to the player, type of thing. And you are right. You when you were talking about this guy's manager, They want the money. They need the money. Tua Tagovailoa is a household name in the world of football, and they're gonna keep milking that dude, and that's really fucked up and sad.
Oh, it definitely is.
And so while
He's been in the league 6 years. You're right. I just
6 years, yeah. So I
yeah.
mean, there's a lot he could still do. Um, but yeah,
Yeah, he
dude.
could go coach. He could be a quarterback coach. He could do whatever he wants.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, r- we're gonna get into the NFL scheduling. The actual schedule with dates and times and everything else. It will be released on May 12th of 2025. But right before that, right before we get into that, I want to touch quickly and ask Zach about this next subject, and that is Abdul Carter. Abdul Carter and Micah Parsons had a conversation a few days after he was drafted to the New York Giants. Micah had asked Abdul, "Hey, are you still going to wear number 11?" I guess they had a jersey swap idea going on that they wanted to do. And Abdul says, "I don't know about that, but I'm trying to get the number 56," which, for those of you who do not know, that number 56 for the New York Giants belongs to, in my opinion, the greatest defensive player of all time, Lawrence Taylor. So before we get into all of that, Zach, what's your opinion when you first heard about this? I would love to know.
Uh, he has no right to even ask
Thank you.
to wear that Lawrence Taylor's number. Lawrence Taylor is probably the greatest edge rusher that's ever been.
Yeah.
Or if he's not the greatest, he's like number two. I couldn't even think of another name above him.
No.
You're a rookie, right? You were good in college. You were great in college,
Yeah.
but you're not Lawrence Taylor.
Thank you.
You have no right asking for that number. And he can't even wear the number 11 because Phil Simms
Yeah.
is number 11. That's also retired.
Yeah, but did you see Phil Simms? And I think it was.
He said he would have gave him the number, but his family didn't want it.
Yeah, yeah. And hey, by the way, we talked about Tua, and I asked, hey, what does his family have to say about it? This is how a family should respond in these certain situations where they're being pried and plucked. Um, Good on the Sims family, and I agree with everything that Zach said. You're a fucking rookie, dude. I don't care if set records. Just because Shedeur and Travis Hunter had their shit retired, that means nothing compared to the National Football League. That's day and night in difference, and you haven't even touched the field for preseason yet, and you're asking for the greatest defensive player's number. What gives this guy the right? Where does he even get off? And I watched the clip, and he did it like so nonchalant, like pretty much like he already had it in the bag. It's like, wait, what is going on? When I first heard about this, dude, I was lost. I didn't know what to think. It's like, Lawrence Taylor is going to give this kid that number when he hasn't even played it down yet. We haven't even seen him in OTAs, mini camps, nothing yet. And this kid is asking for that number. And to Zach's point, yeah, greatest edge rusher of all time. Behind him, I have Reggie White, and I think that's a very good second choice for greatest defensive ends of all time. Reggie White is an animal in his own right, Hall of Fame, everything. But Abdul Carter, slow your fucking roll, dude. Slow your roll. And what pisses me off is that he comes from the Big Ten. My Ohio State Buckeyes, that rivalry is ongoing. I mean, our rivalry is more with Michigan than it is with Penn State, but it's the Big Ten conference, so fuck what Abdul Carter is asking for. And yeah, dude, he's not even going to get 11. So
I always thought it was kind of disrespectful, like for new players to ask for a retired player's number.
Yeah.
I mean, one of his teammates did it last year, and he got the number. I can't remember who it was. I think it's who wears number 1 on the Giants, because that was retired.
Malik Neighbors.
Yeah, he got the number 1 off of, I can't remember who it is, but that number was retired last season, or the seasons before, and he got it.
Yeah.
But obviously it wasn't a well-known name because I can't remember the guy's name. But to ask for even Phil Simms' number, he was a damn good quarterback
Oh yeah.
in his day.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why these numbers get retired.
Exactly.
There's a whole reason why these numbers get retired. And to be honest, we're talking about retired numbers and stuff. I'm kind of surprised that the Cowboys haven't retired number 88 yet.
You think that
Michael Irvin's number should be retired.
It should be, but do you think that falls on Michael Irvin? Even though the organization is ran by the...
I actually think that kind of fuels Michael Irving's ego because he likes to see, he likes to see great wide receivers wear the number 88.
It's pretty much
which I could see that too.
Yeah.
I could see his point on wanting that because a great wide receiver, probably one of the greatest of all time. One of, obviously, is not the greatest.
Yeah.
But one of the greatest, top 5 greatest of all time wide receivers. It fuels his ego to see other great wide receivers wear that number, which I completely understand. Now, Lawrence Taylor does not need an ego to be fueled. He doesn't care.
No,
he doesn't care.
Not at all.
And Phil Simms, he's just a good guy and was just going to give him the number.
Yeah.
Like, maybe if Abdul Carter was playing in the league for 6 years or 7 years and he broke records and he's one of the greatest edge rushers ever, then maybe you can ask.
Yeah.
But maybe. And that's even stretching it.
Oh, yeah.
I just, if it was me, I wouldn't even ask for a retired number because they're retired for a reason.
Right. Now, this brings me into this, too, and then we'll get into the scheduling. The only one that I agree with is Cam Ward and Warren Moon. Cam Ward did not ask for that number. That is the difference. Cam Ward he took the podium for a rookie introduction press conference for the Tennessee Titans, and out comes Warren Moon with the number 1 jersey and hands it to him as a, passing of the torch moment in that moment. And Warren Moon, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, you could throw him up there. Definitely top 15, top 20. That is the biggest difference in this scenario here is that Cam Ward, that was not asked. That was not demanded of Warren Moon to do that. Warren Moon did that on his own. Of a morale boost. I really, really got behind that. I dig that kind of stuff.
Now, I could get behind that. Yeah, no doubt. That's the player's right.
Just like Michael Irvin. Past Des Bryant, now C.D. Lamb. Both phenomenal receivers. So that's where we stand on that. Abdul Carter just needs to, again, focus on football.
Speaking of numbers and stuff, I think he's taken 51.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. Because he was seen. I'm looking at this is on NFL.com. It was published today, actually, this morning. He saw at minicamp with the number 51.
Mm.
So, and 51 is a good number in its own right. It even says right here, lots of great names wore that number. Where do they see it? I just saw it. Oh, it was down further. Famous linebackers have wore the number 51. Dick Butkus, Brian Cox, Sam Mills, Tico Spikes. So, number 51 is a good number too. I be happy with it.
Yeah,
That's all I gotta
to
say.
me, that's just them like boosting his ego a little bit. Like,
N-
oh,
Yeah.
you can't have that. Fuck no. But here, just so you know, look at all these guys. These guys,
Yep.
it's like again, I'll reiterate the little kid thing. It's like, you can't have this, but here, let me dangle these keys in front of you and be entertained
Yeah.
by these.
Now,
So
real quick, I just want to real quick, 5 seconds. Does this? Do you think that Abdul Carter is going to be kind of an egotist and cause the Giants issues?
no, no, I don't think so.
No.
No, I think that this should put him in his place. I could be wrong, but right now it looks like he had his ego checked, rightfully so. And I don't think here. I think that this guy's really just gonna focus on football. Even
Let's hope.
before the
Let's hope.
draft, this he wasn't really making that much noise. And I mean, Abdul I had him on my big board. He was number one. Travis Hunter was number two. Uh, and I know a lot of people had it that way as well. So I hope that this is an ego check for him, and that he actually, starts to focus.
Yeah, just puts his head down and starts grinding.
Yeah, but nonetheless, yeah. So like Zach and I said, dude, stick with fucking football because that's what you're good at.
Yep.
But yeah, dude, that's the drama of that. Why don't we get into the scheduling, dude? And I'll pop these up on.
I have it up right now. Let's start with New England. It looks like they are going to be playing the AFC North this year.
Yeah,
So they got, they got the Bills, the Dolphins, the Jets. That's given. And then they got the Steelers, the Ravens, the Bengals, and the Browns. And they're playing. Let's see. They got a little bit of a mixture of the NFC South
and the
and the
East.
NFC East.
Yep.
Yes.
Because of those road games, Baltimore, Cincy, Tennessee, Tampa, New Orleans, and then the three divisional. Which I'm excited, dude. I'm actually excited for this, and I'll tell you why. Because it gives this offense some time to figure it out. Pittsburgh and Cleveland, both home games. The Falcons, you could throw them in there too, because Kirk Cousins isn't there no longer. They had Michael Penix Jr. running the show. This, not just our offense, our defense too. It'll give them time to work things out. And then the Giants as well at home, the Raiders at home. I like this. The Panthers at home, and the road games. Those seem to be the harder ones. The Ravens, the Bengals, the Buccaneers, led by Baker Mayfield. I don't know. I'd say we win the Saints, and I got it here in my notes that we will make some predictions because I also have the Cowboys schedule. We can do that next.
Yep.
I say that they beat Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Atlanta, Carolina. They struggle against Las Vegas. We beat the Giants, lose to the Bills. We always seem to lose at least out of the four divisional
At least
games.
one to Miami.
Yeah, so it's one to Miami. We sweep the Jets. We lose one to Buffalo, beat Buffalo. Baltimore, we lose. Cincinnati, we beat them last year in the home opener. So I would say that they probably learned their lesson. And it all depends there on Trey Hendrickson for their defense. Is he going to get a new deal? If he does, that's going to play a big role in this game. The Titans, it all depends on how Cam Ward plays and what it looks like over there in Nashville. We'll probably lose against the Bucks. We'll beat the Saints, and we've already went over the divisional games.
Yeah, I think my calculations, you got them going like 8, 9
Yeah.
around there.
Yeah. Well,
If not flip flopped,
1,
9 and
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
8. Oh, I
11,
missed one.
12. because I said we sweep the Jets. Um,
Oh, okay.
and the reason, and I'm not even trying to be biased here.
That's playoffs. That's
It
playoff
is.
numbers.
It is. And but the only difference
You got them
is
going
like
12-5.
based on yeah, and like I said, I'm not trying to be biased here. It may come off as that, and if it does, I apologize for that. But based on everything that Zach and I have discussed since episode 1, when it comes to the NFL and these teams that are on this schedule, Pittsburgh, they don't know where they're at. Cleveland, they're a dumpster fire. Atlanta, with their QB thing going on, I don't see them picking up that W. Carolina's a dumpster fire. Vegas, it all depends on how Geno Smith and Pete Carroll work, and then they got Ashton Genty sitting at that starting running back position, so they might be a little hot. That game you could put a question mark next to that one. The Giants, I think we steamroll the Giants. The Bills are going to be tough, especially that first game. They always are. The Dolphins, Zach and I touched on that roster a little bit. The Jets are another dumpster fire. Baltimore, Cincinnati, Tampa Bay, those guys are playoff caliber teams. As I stated before, Tennessee depends on how Cam Ward and the rest of the offense click together, and then the division games that we've already talked about, being Buffalo, Miami, and the Jets already. I really like the schedule. Like I said, it's a great. I would say that the training wheels are still on for this 2025 season for the Patriots. This is really good for them. Now, if they do make the playoffs, and I stated on this show many times that I don't have them, I don't see them going that far. But with this schedule, it looks like they will be playoff bound. Again,
I got
everything.
a little bit of a different take on that.
Right, everything is scheduled to change here.
Right. I mean, we have to see with the actual schedule what because that's a factor too. If it's Sunday night versus Monday night.
Oh
or if
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
absolutely.
Sunday afternoon, or
Germany,
if it's a Thursday
Mexico
night game. That all depends.
Yeah.
But in their home games, okay, I have them losing to the Bills.
Yeah, so do I.
Beating Miami. I don't think they sweep the Jets.
You don't?
I don't. I think it's a 1-1 because we don't know what Justin Fields is going to do there, and Justin Fields I think is a really good quarterback, and he just needs a good team around him, and the Jets have a good team. They can't. Their organization themselves is a dumpster fire, but the team is decent. And you got a young quarterback that's mobile in Justin Fields up there. So you got to take that into account.
Not really.
So
not with his stats. His stats suck.
I think you do.
He's been through two different organizations.
I mean, his stats, regardless of his stats, he was a good quarterback in Chicago. He just had a terrible team around him.
What about Pittsburgh?
So, Pittsburgh.
You see what I'm saying?
We didn't really get to see him. Yeah. We didn't really get to see him.
It was split.
That's on Pittsburgh.
At some point, at some point, you got to turn around and blame the guy at the helm. Because Russell Wilson came in and did phenomenal. Caleb Williams came in, and they started to click. They're just missing a few pieces. That leaves Justin Fields.
I'm not taking. I'm not saying that Justin Fields is end all be all.
No,
he has his issues, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, and I say that he does okay with the Jets.
Yeah.
In the Vegas game, I think they lose that game.
Yeah. Like I said, you could put a question mark next to that. It could go either way. Pete Carroll is a fun, especially with the running back. He's known. Look what he did with Marshawn Lynch. So,
right.
That's one of them.
And also the other game that I think is a little bit of a toss-up, and this is probably going to send you in an uproar, because I want to see how the Patriots O-line, their new O-line, I want to see how they gel, right?
Uh-huh.
Going up against the Giants, and you have to take Abdul Carter into account. Can they stop Abdul Carter? Can they keep their quarterback protected? I think the Giants game is also a toss-up, and depending, again, we have to see where the schedule lies and all that other stuff. I think Abdul Carter is the game changer there, and they potentially lose against the Giants.
Well, it all depends. We don't know if he's playing right or left. If he plays left,
Right.
he's going against Will Campbell. And if you look at Will Campbell's stats against guys like Abdul Carter, it's not well for him. It's not well for
Well,
Abdul Carter.
they could take something out of the Dallas's playbook too. Micah's not on the same side every time. Micah's in the center. He's off to the right. He's off to the left. He's back. You know they can move him around.
Right. But in that
He's
scenario,
very,
I mean,
very switchbladey.
right. Well, if we're adding other teams' playbooks into it for a scenario, then, I mean, we could go multiple different ways. At this point, for the Giants,
I'm just saying right now, it is a toss-up because he is a game changer. It's something that the Giants didn't have before.
right? But is he going to score touchdowns too?
No, he's not going to score touchdowns.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
But the narrative in the NFL is defense wins games.
Yeah,
That's all I'm saying.
yeah.
That's the toss-up. There is how is the offense going to handle the Giants' defense with Abdul Carter? Not saying that the Giants themselves are good, because they're not. But Abdul Carter does make a difference. And
Well, I'm not going to go out on a limb and say that.
We're going to talk about the Cowboys here in a second.
Oh yeah, no. I know. But what I'm saying is, I can't put that on a limb. I can't go out on a limb and make that type of prediction. That's a bold prediction. Well, I could say the same thing for Jacksonville as well.
Well, you could.
You know, but I can't. Just like we said about the LT number, you know, this guy could be a fucking bust in the league.
Could. He very well could be.
And the Giants,
that happens.
The rest of the Giants' defense isn't on par at all.
No, it's not. It's not. And here's why I brought up the Cowboys. Here, the Cowboys, they weren't a good team last year. They weren't.
Well, they didn't have Dak Prescott.
No, they didn't. And that's an issue, right? But their defense wasn't on par either. But you had to account for Micah Parsons. Now, I'm not saying that Abdul Carter is on Micah Parsons' level just yet. We don't know, obviously. But
well, if you ask Micah, Micah will tell you the same. Like Micah will tell you, "Oh no, this guy's right there with me, if not better than me."
Okay, well then, we'll just take it from the horse's mouth. If Micah thinks that Abdul is on the same level as him,
yeah,
you have to take him into account. I mean, even when the Cowboys weren't doing good last year, every team took Micah into account. Micah was double teamed. They knew where he was on the field because he is a game changer. He makes things happen. If Abdul Carter is that guy that Micah says he is, and that Abdul says he is, I mean, Abdul's going to say that he's one of the best ever, obviously. Every player says that. That's something you have to take into account. That's just me. I have New England because of those two games. I think, would you say they were 14 and...
No.
Or not 14. You had them going 12-5?
Yeah.
I have them 10-7.
That's still
because
playoff.
One game in the New York game, both New York games, one loss to the Jets and the loss to the Giants.
Right.
Just on that limb.
No. Right.
Which I think is a better chance. Honestly, I think 10-7 is a better record.
Right. But you're missing my point. My point is that this is a fantastic schedule for the New England Patriots coming in to the season after the last 2 years of that debacle with Bill Belichick, Gerard Mayo.
Oh yeah, it is.
That's my point. My point is not that New England's going to the playoffs or is going to go on this run. My point of this right now is that this is a fantastic schedule for New England to work out all of these errors.
It definitely is.
Right.
But I just wanted to give my input.
Yeah.
That it definitely could be a loss to the Jets. It might not be a sweep. And the Giants game is something to...
No, not for me.
Something to think about. It's something to think about.
On the back burner. Because until they have an offense worthy of it, because, Abdul Carter, you have to account for any defensive end. Harold Landry, Joey Bosa, we talked about him too. All of those mainstay weapons, Khalil Mack.
Right.
T.J. Watt, Hendrickson, all of them. You have to always, but like I said, number one, that offense hasn't clicked in fucking years. Russell Wilson ain't gonna be the savior. He's gonna have a hard
No,
time,
no.
especially the defensive backs that are out there. For the sake of this scenario, the three that are starting in New England are Carlton Davis, Christian Gonzalez, Jabril Peppers, all of these other defensive backs that are there for that game. There's no way that New York prevails. No way. The Jets, on the other hand, history has proven that they can go 1-1 against the Bills, the Dolphins, or the Patriots. It happens. It happens. But for the New York Giants, I respect your opinion and I understand it, but there's no fucking chance in hell. The great words of VKM. No chance in hell.
Well, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. We'll have to see.
We're running out of time, so
Um,
we'll go over the Cowboys. I think that we covered a lot of the NFL today, guys. We kept our word. We'll end with the Cowboys because we went over a lot, an hour. So yeah, we'll end with. Oh my God, I have a whole bunch of schedules in here that I wanted to go over.
well, we can go over them on Tuesday
we
or whenever
definitely.
we get a chance to record.
Dallas
But
is next.
Dallas's schedule is rough. This is a rough one. Obviously you got the 4 games, with into the division, the Giants, the Eagles, the Commanders. And then they got Green Bay, Kansas City, Los Angeles Chargers, Minnesota Vikings, Arizona. Arizona I'm indifferent about. They're there. Those are the home games. And then the away games, you got the Chicago Bears, which are Denver Broncos, we'll see how they are, Detroit, Las Vegas, and then you got the Jets in Carolina. Their home games are rough. I give you that. And then they got 2 away games that are, Detroit and the Raiders.
Right.
Well, we'll have to see how the Raiders are with this new regime they got going on. If Dak can't play up to snuff, I don't know if we win that many. I mean, in the home games, I think Dallas sweeps the Giants, right? That again, Abdul Carter is a thing. I will always think that until we see how he plays
Right.
and how that is. But I still think that they sweep him. The Eagles, that's a toss-up. It could be 1-1, and we could get swept by the Eagles. I'll give 1-1 just because. So that puts me at 2 or 3-1. The Commanders are also a toss-up. We'll go 4-2 there. Green Bay, I think we lose to Green Bay. That's 4-3. Kansas City, we lose to Kansas City. We're 4-4. The Chargers will be a close game, but I think we win. 5-4. Minnesota, depending on I don't know what their quarterback situation is right now, but I think we lose that game. 5-5. Arizona, we win. 6-5. Denver, we win. 7-5. Chicago, we win. 8-5. Detroit, we lose. 8-6. The Raiders are also a toss-up. I'll give the W to the Cowboys because we don't know how the Raiders are. So 9-5, and then we end the season 11-5. Or I'm missing a game there somewhere, but I think we're going to be like 11-6 or something like that, or 12-5.
Yeah, that's not a bad lineup. That's not. Give me 1 second here.
Yeah, I know I missed a game in there somewhere, but regardless.
No, I don't think. Did you?
Regardless, it's going to be 12-5 or 11-6.
So.
I don't know. My numbers were off somewhere. But
home.
Regardless, what do you think?
So home games. Washington. You got the 3 divisional. Washington, New York, Philly, Arizona, Green Bay, Minnesota, Kansas City, and The Chargers. So you guys are playing the AFC West this year mainly. A little bit of the North. No, they have everything. They're playing the AFC West and the NFC North this year with a little bit of the AFC East and other teams in there. So I went over the home games, and then the away Carolina, Detroit, Chicago, Denver, Oakland, and the Jets. I mean Las Vegas. They're Oakland, fucking Oakland. Okay, so Washington, that's a loss. I'll give the Giants. That's a W. Philly, they got swept last year, I believe. Didn't you guys?
No, I think it was 1-1. I could be wrong, but let me see.
34-6 in one, and 41-7 in the other. So you guys lost both.
Oh,
so,
did we?
Yeah.
I
so
couldn't remember.
There's okay. So Washington, I think that you guys lose that one. You guys beat the Giants, lose to Philadelphia. You beat Arizona. Green Bay is one of those like question mark teams. Jordan Love, yeah. I mean, for this, I'll give them that W. They lose to Minnesota, Kansas City, and then for the Chargers, dude, I'll come back to that. They get swept by Washington and Philadelphia. I say that they sweep the Giants. They got Carolina. They lose to Detroit and Denver, and they beat Chicago.
You think we lose to Denver?
Yeah. Oh, dude, Denver's stacked. Have you seen what they've done?
Yeah, I have.
Oh.
But
yeah, Bo Nix is playing unbelievable football, bro.
well, yeah, but I still think they beat them.
Yeah. So Detroit, they lose. They beat Chicago. They lose to Denver. They beat Oakland, and then they beat the Jets.
We beat Carolina.
Yeah, didn't. Oh, I forgot the Chargers because I said I'd come back to that.
Yeah.
They don't. They got Khalil Mack on the defense. They got rid of Joey Bosa. They did some work, but I'm not high on Justin Fields, dude. Last year in that playoff game, that solidified it all for me, dude. This guy cannot get the job done. I mean, he's being compared. Why are they fucking glazing this guy so much, Justin Herbert? The next Josh Allen. The next Ben Roethlisberger.
No, he's Phillip Rivers.
except that he actually fucking cusses and doesn't use alternative language. So in that case, I think that they beat the Chargers in that. See, this schedule is quite a bit tougher than what we just talked about with New England. Mainly because of the division itself. All we have to worry about in the East is Buffalo as a powerhouse. You guys got the defending champions, and the Redskins were just in the NFC Championship last year. So that's tough, and you have to play them, twice a year. That's what sets it back. And then the Dak Prescott issue. If he's the Dak of old. What I mean by that is like the Dak Prescott Zach and I were talking about, where the only time Zach has said, "This is our year," that Dak Prescott, if he shows up, the entire East is in a world of trouble. And I think that's what it boils down to, is Dak Prescott, because Dak Prescott, the defense will be all right as long as Dak Prescott can be on 10. Jaden Daniels is phenomenal. In that game, if Dak Prescott shows up, it could be 1-1 in that series, and it could go into, deciding the NFC East Championship in the playoffs. So we've seen that before. The Philadelphia series, though, the ass whooping that they put on in the Super Bowl will be talked about for fucking ages. So it's really tough to bet against that. A lot of people do have them only dropping 1 or 2 games, Philly. I'm not one of those guys. Arizona, I don't like Arizona. I'm not gonna lie, dude. It's nothing against Arizona. I just don't think that they um I just don't think that they're well. I've already
No.
spoke on Green Bay. Jordan Love, he's not the replacement. He's not the heir to the throne, in my opinion.
The
In
problem,
in
the
Lambeau.
reason I gave Dallas the loss in Green Bay is because we always have an issue with Green Bay.
Oh yeah,
Always. Uh, or you could even call it Aaron Rodgers. I mean, we have an issue with Aaron Rodgers, but it's something with Green Bay the Cowboys can't get over. I don't know what it is. I mean, you saw it 2 years ago in the playoffs.
yeah.
Cowboys were, favored to go. They were favored to go past the wild card round or whatever it was. I can't even remember what round it was. But Jordan Love beat the fucking bricks off the Cowboys.
Yeah.
It's something with Green Bay. So that's why I give them the loss.
Yeah. So, I don't know, man. I have Green Bay in the playoffs still. I just don't see them um, beating Dallas, especially in Jerry World. That itself is a feat. You know
That playoff game was in Jerry World.
what playoff game?
The one that they just lost a couple years ago against Green Bay and Jordan
Oh,
Love.
I thought you were talking about oh
No, that was Aaron Rodgers.
yeah.
But I'm saying just a few years ago. Maybe, yeah, it wasn't last year. It was the year before.
Mm.
The Cowboys were favored to go. They were to make it at least past that. And Jordan Love came into Jerry World and fucking beat the bricks off us.
Yeah, I don't know. Dallas. I think Dallas beats them. They don't beat Minnesota, Kansas City, for obvious reasons. They lose that game. The Chargers, they win. Yeah, because that offense is just they can add Joel and all that other shit that they want, O'Marion, Hampton, and stuff. Jim Harbaugh is a legend. He'll always will be a legend. In my opinion, he's a first ballot Hall of Fame coach. I just don't see them beating the Cowboys there. And then the away games, Denver's a very tough team. They, especially with that rookie quarterback that they had in Bo Nix. The only thing that concerns me about that Denver offense is it seems to take them a little bit to get going. And in a scenario against Dak Prescott that I know, you can't do that. You can't hit the snooze button and 30 fucking times and then wake up on quarter three and decide to play football. And the game I'm referring to is that playoff game against Buffalo. They drive down the field and within the first 5 drives, score big, and then Buffalo silences them the entire rest of the game, and they end up losing. Denver has a fantastic offensive line. They have a fantastic defense. Patrick Surtain, the second, is a phenomenal corner. The defensive line is solid as well. It's just tough to really bet against Denver in that game. And then Oakland, like we both said about both teams, it all depends on what clicks and what doesn't click. Gino took the Seahawks to a playoff game, and I don't see why he can't do it, especially with Pete Carroll and Ashton Genty down there. I don't see why they wouldn't be able to click like that. But as it sits now, Dallas takes that game, and then the Jets as well.
They take Carolina, too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about Carolina. Yeah, definitely. Tedoror and McMillan. It's gonna take him and Bryce Young a little bit, and I know that they still got work to do in Charlotte. So yeah, they'll definitely beat the Panthers. But yeah, dude, that's a hefty schedule there.
Yeah, I'm not happy about it, but I think I'm being a little generous with, a 11-6 or 12-5.
It really just depends on Dak Prescott.
It does. I mean, I think you have them at like 9-8,
Which is
something like that,
in the NFC. That's still making the playoffs.
possibly.
Yeah. And like I said, it all depends on Dak Prescott, man. But yeah, that's all I got for the NFL.
Yeah, that's all we got. I'm trying to think. Nothing else to be had. Wasn't there something that you wanted me to do towards the end? Weren't we going to mention something?
Oh yeah, that's right. So I talked about the show and how Zach and I had told you guys that we were going to do a episode dedicated to the NFL, and I know that that wasn't quite it, but we went over a whole hour on this, just in the NFL, just so we could fit it in there, because that's that's not fair that we you know advertise something and we didn't come follow through. Um, but I assure you that everything within the show that we write is for you guys. And next episode is going to be mainly the WWE. We got Backlash coming up tomorrow. There's a lot of good matches there. So Zach and I will go over storylines over the tomorrow, where they lead off. We had a couple good episodes of Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown. NXT was good. Velveteen Dream was in the news. We'll talk about that on Tuesday. Shoot, man. Yeah, so that's exactly what we wanted to touch on was that is
Yeah, that Tuesday's going to be mostly WWE, and if we get time, we'll probably dive more into schedules and stuff like that. And I'm sure we'll touch on the NBA playoffs because those are going on this weekend also. And again, it'll just be a touch. And I know we say that sometimes, and then we get into the tangents. We're pretty good at that, but we will try to keep to our schedule as much as possible, and we're not going to try to bullshit you guys on what these episodes are going to be about.
yeah. But dude, yeah, we've hit our fucking mark, dude. Episode 20 is coming faster than you think. I do
It
want to
is.
do something big. I have a little bit. I know yes, I sound like I'm ahead of the game here, but that's because I am. I really want this stuff to go not just well, I want all of these, and I try when I write these things. I try and not think about myself. What I think about is how can I make this episode as fun as possible, fun as talk,
Right.
while giving you guys a bit of like seriousness and delivering the promise of bringing the news, but also Zach's intro is the show. When he says when sports meets humor, that's us. That's exactly what we do. So when writing these things, that's that's what's in the back of my mind. And I know that's in Zach's too. And yeah, the tangents they go off, and I
They
don't
do.
I don't really mind that. Sometimes it gets kind of stressful because I have a life, Zach has a life, and we have things to do. We're fully functioning adults with jobs and shit like that. But other times it's like, okay, yeah, we're having a lot of fun within these conversations, and that's what it's
The
about, man. I don't
the,
mean
the
that's
best
exact.
one. The best one's MILF fucker. I mean,
Yeah,
that's got to be the best tangent we've ever went on.
dude,
Or
that
Cougar fucker. That's what it
yeah.
was.
Oh man, dude. So we really appreciate all of the love, whether it be likes or just checking us out, man. So don't forget, yeah, man, hit that subscribe button that's down below. Like the video, share it. Uh, I'm having a
Follow us
blast.
on all the social medias.
Yeah,
Twitter, Facebook, uh, and we really appreciate everything. And I know we're talking to, just a handful of people that watch our show, but we really appreciate it.
absolutely, absolutely, dude. Um, hey, at least we ain't King Joffrey from Game of Thrones. Fuck that guy. I fucking hate
No
Joffrey.
doubt. No doubt.
But all right, guys, Zach.
The starters may get the glory, but the benchwarmers bring the fun. Tune in for the next episode of the BenchWarmers podcast, and thanks for listening.
Peace.